Hey y'all, happy Sunday and welcome to this week's live Q&A session. This is the portion of the show where we allow YouTube to send out notifications that we're going live. If you're watching this live Q&A on replay, please scrub ahead until this graphic disappears and the actual show begins. If you're watching live and you have any comments or questions, please go ahead and put them in the live chat. But for now, grab a beverage, sit back, and relax while the countdown timer does its thing. Then we'll get started. Happy Sunday, y'all. Yeah, did it again the correct way, Russ. This is becoming a running gag. Oh man, what a day. Yeah, it's been a wild one. Um Before I say anything, before I start anything, this is 100% personal. She doesn't say anything in the chat during the live stream. Well, very rarely anyway. But I know she's listening. Uh, I said to a few of my channel members yesterday, I had a family event that I needed to attend to, so I was AWOL most of the day. Yesterday was our 35th wedding anniversary, so I didn't get to spend as much of the day with her as I had hoped to, but I did. Happy anniversary, sweetie, and thank you for all your support through all of this craziness, all of this nutsiness. I appreciate you more than you will ever know. So that was 100% personal. Thank you for allowing me that. I would also like to mention, acknowledge, and give a major shout out to my friend Steve over at Harneal Media, without whom a lot of this wouldn't be possible. He is the sponsor of marklindsaycnc.com and my website. Thank you to everybody who has visited. Do go check it out. I know I haven't updated it for a while, but poke around. I'm sure you're going to find some nuggets in there that will appeal to you. Also, listings for all of my beginner series videos of all of the beginner series that I've created. And if you are thinking of upping your home hobby business, to start selling online or start selling merch, and are looking for a way to develop a good, strong web presence, there is no better way than having a website and having an email address that uses your website as a domain. And Steve over at Harneal Media is the guy who can take care of all of that. Very competitive pricing. And always, if you deal with Harneal Media, you deal with Steve. It's not some nameless, faceless person in a call center that you will never be able to contact again. It's Steve 100% of the time. So thank you to Steve and Harneal Media for sponsoring MarkLindsayCNC.com. Let's see here. Thank you everybody for all of the congratulations and the happy anniversaries. Thank you all very much. It's been one heck of a ride. We've been all over the place. Let's see here. Now I'll get to your questions. And um, first foremost from AK Tom Conway, who I met, by the way. He was down in the neighborhood, and we got a chance to meet and spent way too much time talking, but that's cool. Can we question the chat? Yes, always. There are some extremely talented, extremely knowledgeable people here in the chat and down in the comment section of all of my videos. So by all means, ask any question you'd like. I may not be able to answer it, but odds are someone in the chat will be able to answer it. So yes, by all means. So just keep it civil. That's all. Let's see here. Now, let's get into a couple of things here. Well, let me go back over and look at you guys. Man, Jack Matson, you are the man, sir. Oh, buy her an ice cream cone. I was gonna say I could get two, but I know her. She'll want to run over and get a blizzard at the Dairy Queen, and I think I can only get one. Well, we'll see. That's all right. I can cover it. Thank you, Jack. You are cool. very cool and very much appreciative. Chris, that is a better question for Steve. Harneomedia.com. There's a link in the description of every video on my channel. His fees are structured depending on how much or how little you want him to do. So that's a question for Steve, but he will hook you up. Okay, let's see here. The questions that we've got are Brooks Martin brought up an interesting topic. Rob Schuster over at Sidewinder Drums just released his Arizona badge bit evaluation video. In it, he used wood putty versus Aura mask. What are your thoughts on wood putty versus Bondo as a spoil board patch? I have no thoughts. And I used Bondo body filler because that's what I had. I have no thoughts on it. I mean, if it works for you, it works for you. There was a comment on my channel, a comment to the video. He said his Bondo was well aged and had gone bad. This is from Steve over at Extreme Woodworker. Said so he used Durham's rock hard water putty for the repairs. And he for repairs on dings on painted trim, and thought about using it for spoil board repairs. My only hesitation in using something water-based is simply that it's water-based, and so you may or may not have some swelling of the MDF. Of course, you're going to surface it again, so maybe that's not a big deal. I used the body filler because that's what I had, and it does work well. Now, that dovetails in with Norm Peterson's question, wouldn't wood filler stick to the MDF better than body filler, which is made from metal? Well, I'm going to go right over to Bondo's website. It says, and this is a direct quote, in addition to its uses in repairs of typical vehicle surfaces, it is also suitable for repairing other surfaces, including wood, steel, aluminum, fiberglass, and concrete. And in fact, there is a PDF, which is actually pretty big, that discusses using it in wood. And this PDF file is called Woodworking Solutions from Start to Finish. It is a publication put out by 3M, who make Bondo, but they talk about spray adhesives, they talk about body filler, they talk about any number of things. It's a 130-page document about using their products in woodworking. So I will put a link to that, as well as a link to Rob Schuster's YouTube channel and his video on oh, okay, I see what you're doing, Steve. um, I will put a link to Rob Schuster's YouTube channel, his video on using wood putty instead of Aura mask, and his most recent video where he talks about his 15-degree V-bits. Kurt, you guys are really going above and beyond. Thank you very much. That's not what I was saying. And John, I mean, Oreo is the best flavor. I would tend to agree with that, but you got to admit, Heath Bar is pretty good too. You just bought hamburgers to go along with those blizzards, so thank you. Thank you guys very much. I mean, really appreciate it. Let's see here. So basically, Bondo is a good filler for wood, and that's straight from them. Uh, it I have used it on painted projects, of course, where if, for instance, at the cabinet shop, if we had face frames that didn't quite, the joints weren't exactly tight enough. If we needed it fast, we would use wood filler. If we didn't need it fast, if we could let it sit over the weekend, we would use the body filler. There was a time we got in a door, a uh, interior door that was painted. Um, that had been chewed up down on one bottom corner. We were able to reconstruct that corner using body filler. I've used it to patch profiles in MDF, raised panel doors. If somebody got a little too aggressive with sandpaper or just a chip got uh, knocked loose. Uh, Steve here is talking about we use Bondo to make repairs on the outside of houses and buildings before we painted, along with interior stuff. Yeah, wow. Bill, thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. You guys are going crazy. Thank you. Um, John Thompson says custom upholstery shops use it all the time for custom door panel and speaker boxes. I have used it on speaker enclosures, but never done it on door panels. But I could see where it would, especially if you're sculpting in like a speaker enclosure or something like that. Um, I can see it being used for that. So the short answer to the long question is Bondo works just uh, fine on wood on painted surfaces. Now I mentioned in the video it will take a clear coat, but it is ugly, and that is the case. I mean, it won't take a stain, but it's not designed to. It's designed to take a finish over the top. So, let me go ahead and switch my camera over and you can see what I'm talking about here. I think that's the one. That is the one. Here is the Spoilboard as it sits right now. And uh, they have changed over from their red cream hardener to this blue tinted cream hardener. And that's 2 coats of clear shellac over the top of that body filler. And it's nice and dry. It took it. It didn't, there was no reaction. Everything is fine. As far as using a wood putty versus using the body filler, um, again, I had body filler. I didn't have any wood putty, so that's what I used. And um, I have nothing against using wood filler. If you want to, go ahead and go for it. So, yes, you can still get the red hardener. The only difference is the color, and in fact, they put a little label here on the top. I don't know why that says package now contains a blue hardener tube. I don't know. So now I've got a lot of people asking. Let's see here. Would Bondo work to inlay a simple logo into the Spoilboard for video? It probably could. The only problem with it, if I have a criticism, is well, there's 3 criticisms. And that is number 1, it stinks. And when I say it stinks, I mean it reeks. It will run you out the building. Now, you can ask my members about that because last week, during the members only live stream, I had to get up and walk outside and get some air a couple of times because, and it had been sitting, it had cured. I had already, oh no, No, it was the second coat that was still stinking so bad. So I had not done the finish toolpath yet. It reeks for a couple of days. And you also have to keep the shop warm. I ran the heater on low overnight to make sure that it didn't freeze out here. So if you don't have a way of keeping everything nice and warm, um, you may be in trouble. Wow, Blaine, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Invite your friends also. Well, I could do that. Thank you very, very much. You guys are really too much. I really do appreciate it. Let's see here. Michael Mazalik says I use a product called PC Woody. It's been on my list for over 20 years. I've not used it. In fact, I've not even heard of it. I'm going to write it down to check into a little bit later on. Now, I also preface that by saying this is for painted projects. It won't take a stain that I know of, but whereas a wood putty usually will. In fact, I can't think of a wood putty that doesn't. Some of them are pre-tinted, but that'll kind of get you close. But you know, but I'm gonna check out PC Woody. Thank you very much, Michael. I've not even heard of that product. I'll have to check into it. Of course, you run in different circles than I do. You're much higher up on the professional ladder. So let's see. Norm Peterson wants to know, can it be tinted and used for an inlay? I do not know. I do not know. Oh, the other two problems with it is it's a mess. It will get everywhere. And what I mean by that is that's probably just my application method, but I use these cheap I think they're polypropylene, but I may be wrong. Uh, applicators, the little spatulas that are bendable. And I think they're polypropylene, but I may be wrong. And as you can see, that stuff gets everywhere. And it actually got down in and onto some of the T-track, but I have an old, I don't even remember the name of the brand, wood chisel that is semi sort of sharp, that it once it started to harden, you could just knock it off and it'll pop right out of there. I also used it to true up the edges of the MDF strips. Pablo says, don't use a credit card. Yeah, not a credit card that you plan on keeping anyway. Now, Leo says you probably could use some coloring as with two-part casting media. I mean, I guess it's possible. I would probably, you could try it on some scrap. I mean, it's possible that there are some enamel paints that would blend with it. I just don't know. I haven't tried it. My my experience with body filler in woodworking is repairing wood, fixing joints, repairing profiles and what have you. And outside of wood, filling dents on an old beat up pickup and things like that. So I don't have a heck of a lot of experience with it. I just know that it works, and it's not expensive, and you can get it at your local big box store. Heck, there may be some places it may be at convenience stores. So let's see here. Bill Stauffer said, I assume you ran the final cleanup pass manually as well. No, I used the original toolpath that I created for surfacing my Spoilboard. And I did that because I already had the toolpath created, and it was there are very few G-code files I save and keep, and the Spoilboard G-code file is one of them. The other two are uh, I have two keyhole tool paths that I keep. One of them for a 3/4 inch tall vertical keyhole and one for a 2-inch wide horizontal keyhole. Those three G-code files are the only ones I save. Everything else I use it once and I flush it. And that forces me to go back to the CRV file or my CAD CAM software and check everything for this project for the material I have. So that's what I used. I used the same surfacing toolpath that I used when I originally set up and surfaced the Spoilboard. And it took just a couple of minutes to run. I think maybe 6 minutes. I do need to go back and redo that file because I was new to this CNC router and to this surfacing bit when I set it up. So I need to speed up my feed rate a little because I did end up bumping up the feed rate. But I had it set for 180 inches per minute. I ended up running it at about 240, I believe it was. So I need to change that file and get rid of that G-code file. So there you go. Now let's see. Robert Dymock has a unrelated question. About to cut bird's eye maple. Excellent. Seems a little rough. Would it be better to seal it before cutting it, as well as suggested feeds? It's been my experience that it doesn't, whatever you have, whatever feed rate and RPM for the bit that you're using, you have used on any other kind of maple will work on quilted maple, bird's eye maple, and burl wood. So you don't have to change feeds or speeds or anything. Maple, in this case, maple is maple is maple. You say it seems a little rough. Would it be better to seal it before cutting it? Um, uh, in what context? Are you V-carving into it? Are you talking about a profile cutout? Are you pocketing into it? It would depend on what you're going to do. If you're going to be V-carving and then painting or doing some sort of an epoxy fill or something like that, I would definitely seal it before you even carve it and then seal it again after you've carved it. Because the problem with bird's eyes and burls is you have, even to a extent quilting, you have grain going in all directions. So it's not like all the end grain is going to be perfectly aligned in one little area. There's going to be end grain all over the place. So, I mean, that's just going to be one of those things to watch for. It's going to depend on what you're doing with that bird's eye maple. Having said that, maple carves very well. So. See, Leo Stegger says, I've used red and blue dyes in casting rubber with great success. Yeah, it's just going to come down to the type of dye you're planning on using and what you're going to be dyeing with it. Are they compatible? You know, you wouldn't want to use a water-based dye with body filler, I don't think. And I don't know about an alcohol-based dye. But it's been also been my experience that even with big companies like 3M, if you either call or email their support folks, and they have tech support folks, they can answer the question. I mean, I did that with Franklin Industries. that make tight bond wood glue. I asked them if it was possible to tint tight bond 3 because it dries white clearish. And they said, yes, you can use up to 3% acrylic paint to tint the wood glue. And okay, great. And because what I was doing is I was gluing a fretboard onto a guitar neck, and I wanted a real fine black stripe. And I was able to tint the glue black. And they now sell black glue, as a matter of fact. But I was able to tint the glue black. Of course, once I got it all nice and clamped down and everything and sanded, that stripe was so thin you could just barely see it, and then you had to look for it. So, you know. But yeah, it all comes down to um, what you're tinting and what you're tinting it with. But even these big corporations, they will talk to you. They will work with you. And I was surprised that a chemist from Franklin got back to me. And we had the discussion. I told him what I wanted to do. And he said, yes, you can mix it up to 3% of any acrylic, like a craft paint or something like that. And it won't compromise the integrity of the glue. So cool. Okay, Robert says he's going to V-carve and profile cut for a cribbage board. The eyes seems to be a little raised, giving it a rough feel. Yeah, what I would do, Robert, if I were going to be doing that, if it feels rough, I would surface it just before you V-carve it. Well, if it were me, I would surface it, then seal it with like a shellac, something that dries very fast. And then I would V-carve it the same day. Then shellac over that V-carving to seal all that end grain. Then let it cure overnight before I proceed, at a minimum. So if it were me doing it, that's how I would do it. And surface it nice and smooth, then do the seal it, then do the V-carving, seal it one more time. Let's see here. Speeds and feeds for MDF depends on your machine, depends on the bit, depends on the operation. For this 2-inch surfacing bit, I'm running at 16,000 RPM. I was up at 240 inches per minute. My machine is capable of doing that. It's capable of going a lot faster than that. But I figured that was a happy medium. It just depends on the bit. It depends on the operation. I can't give you a magic answer. So, let's see here. Jim Brown wants to know, when drawing a circle, how do you make it smooth? It should draw smooth. Let me get over here into Aspire and we'll check it out. If I come over here to draw a circle, and this is the same in V-carve, and I start here in the center and I draw it out, close it. I've got my circle there. I can select it, tap the letter N to go into node editing, and we see we have 4 nodes. One here, one here, one here, and one here. These are arcs that are each a segment of the radius of that circle. And that is going to be about as smooth as you can make it. So it should draw smooth. Now, if it doesn't draw smooth, it may or may not be an actual circle. It could be somebody has traced something and you end up with, well, let me try something here. And I don't know if this is going to work. Let me offset it outwards 1/4 of an inch, close it. And now with that offset, let me go into node editing. No, it did it as well. Sometimes a vector, if you offset it, there will be a bunch of points out here. But not this time, evidently. And also, it depends on the program that the circle was drawn in. If some CAD programs like AutoCAD or DraftSight or NanoCAD, sometimes the circle will actually be made up of a bunch of line segments. And it breaks it up into small segments to give you the appearance of it being smooth. When actually, if you go into node editing, it'll just be all over the place. So that may be the case. It also could have been just hand drawn or placed. Yeah, now RB is telling me hand draw the circle. None of us want to see that. I can't draw to save myself. It is, generally speaking, perfectly acceptable to delete that and redraw the circle if there are that many points. But if you're using the software, be it VCarve or Aspire, doesn't matter which, if you're using that to draw the circle, it should be a perfect circle. So with 4 points, and that's all. So Robert says, thanks. What time should I expect you to arrive to cut this? Look out your window. The way things have been going, look out your window, and when you see donkeys flying, I'll be right behind them. Okay. I can't get away to go to the grocery store. It's just been crazy. Let's see here. Yeah, IL Peleg says, I have a set of cards which phone sims come embedded in, okay, which I use as spatulas. Yeah, it works. IL, here we have an organization called, well, I'm not even gonna promote them. It's an association for retired people. That should narrow it down. If you know who I'm talking about, if you're over 50 years old, chances are you're getting junk mail from them. And in that junk mail usually is a little plastic card as a fake membership card. And I tell my wife all the time, oh, look, somebody's sending me glue spreaders. Well, it's gotten to the point to where I don't even keep them anymore because I got to stack that tall. I will never spread that much glue in my life. So I don't even keep them anymore. But yeah, whatever works, works. As far as spreading body filler, I've seen people take the plastic lid from like a coffee can and cut that up, or a butter tub or something, and make a spreader out of that. I mean, you don't have to go buy anything, but these polypropylene spreaders are real cheap. So I think the package was $2. I may be wrong. Bob says, show him how to remove extra notes. Okay, I can go through that if you'd like. Before I do, Randy Burns, hi, are we allowed to talk about design today? You are allowed to talk about anything. If I have an answer, I'll do my best. If I don't have an answer, we can toss it up to the folks in the chat. We'll see what we can come up with. Something to the effect of a car grill pattern, perhaps a rectangle with angles at each end, say 10 by 36 with a border around. About all I can say is get in, dig in, and try it. A rectangle with angles at each end, say 10 by 36 with a border around. Trying to picture what you're talking about. We can, let me do a little bit of playing here. Share screen, entire screen. We'll go to that one, and kaboom. Let me finish up on this real quick. select this, go into node editing. I have 4 nodes here. Let me try something. And let me offset it out. Now, with that selected, I'll offset it in by 1/2 inch, offset in. Then I'll offset that one out by 1 inch. And let's see, do we still have just 4 nodes? We do. Okay. Well, all right. It's doing pretty well. Usually it'll add a couple here and add a couple there. Tell you what I'm going to do. Let's select those 3, delete them, and come out of node editing. And I'm going to, no, not create fillets. I got the wrong one. Come on, Mark. There we go. I'm going to fit curves. I'm going to fit Bezier curves. And let's preview. There we go. All right, now what I just did was I converted those arcs to Bezier curves, and now I have more nodes out here. So in a situation like that, talking about how making the reducing the number of points, because if we look, I now have, instead of 4, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I have 7 points for that same circle. Well, what I can do is select it and come up here to curve fit. And now what I want to do is I've got a preview here. It's showing all of those points. Let me come up here to circular arcs and then preview that and see what happens. I now have 2, 4, 6. So it did remove 1 point. Let me check straight lines, preview that, and now we see how many points that'll add if I do this in line segments. So let me go back up here to circular arcs, preview that. That's got the fewest number of points in that circle. I'll click OK, and it's converted that now to arc segments. But my point was that sometimes it's easier to just go ahead and redraw the circle. So if I select it, come over here to set size, I can see, there's the reason right there. Somehow the size got changed. So let me take this width here and I'll select it, Control C to copy, link XY turned off, paste it here, apply it, and now it should be a perfect circle. Nope, it still wanted to change it. Let's change that to 8, apply. Now it should be a perfect circle. Close. And let me check this again. I'm sorry, I got sidetracked here. Bezier circular arcs. Let me preview the circular arcs. Well, that changed it back to 4 nodes, but they're not where you would expect them to be, that's for sure. Okay, let's cancel that. I got sidetracked. Sometimes it's better to go ahead and select it, go to set object size, and what we're going to do is we're going to look for either one here, doesn't matter which. I'm going to highlight that measurement there, Control C to copy that measurement, close it. Then I'm just going to go ahead and delete it. Come up here to draw a circle. I want the center point to be on my X0, Y0, and I want the diameter to be Control V to paste that size and create that circle. Now, if I go into node editing and look at that, I'm back to having just 4 points where you would expect them to be. So now that was a long way to go to get back there, but just letting you know that sometimes if you figure out the size that you are of circle that you need, it's easier just to find that size, delete that circle, then draw a new one. So that's what I was trying to get at. Okay, now as far as doing something like drawing a grill, uh, like Randy's talking about, that can be pretty long and involved. If you want to get started, let me get rid of this here. We'll delete that. Believe you said 10 by 36. Well, my material isn't that big, but let me go ahead and just draw a rectangle out here. Part of the fun of node editing is you can go into node editing is you can grab these nodes and you can move them and make that trapezoid shape that you're talking about. Come out of node editing and we'll put in a fillet. We'll go with a normal fillet with a 0.625 radius. It's about a 16th of an inch, which means I would use a 1/8 inch bit on it. Then we can come up into these corners and we can round these off to the inside. Come on. All right. And that doesn't look like a car grill. But from there, to make your mesh pattern in here, you would need to draw one horizontal line, then use your array copy function to create more, however many you want to fill in the space. Like I said, this could be long and drawn out. Then draw a vertical line and use the array copy function to make that as well. Now, that would give you the pattern, and if you're going to just use it as a profile to carve on the vector, that's fine. If you're talking about V carving, that's another subject entirely that I just do not have time to get into right here, right now. That could be an entire video of its own. So let's see. Mike says node editing, fun, no such thing. Oh yeah, Michael. I have fun with node editing. A lot of people hate me for that, but then again, I'm the guy that likes. I like editing video, and I don't mind sanding. So people think I'm weird. No, I don't have a problem at all with node editing. So let's see here. Now, I know I didn't answer your question, Randy, and I apologize for that, but that could be a video of its own. And in fact, it's a great idea for a video. It's just going to be down the road before I can do it. Okay. Let's see. Mr. Charis creates. Brand new to the CNC world, want to create my own decorative molding. What program do I need to create and design that? You can do it with VCarve Desktop. You are kind of limited, but not limited too much. Let's say, for instance, you have a molding and we just want to create the profile. You have a molding that is, well, let's just do this. Select that, hold down Control, and I'm going to copy up here. And let's center it horizontally. Center that one horizontally so that we're even. In fact, within the clip art with VCarve and Aspire, you have molding profiles. Let's see here, molding profiles. And let's say I want to create this molding here. Oh, come on, Mark. I can create that molding using these as drive rails, one of these as a drive rail in the molding toolpath. So I have the profile. That's you're looking at it from the end. Let me come over here, we'll grab the drive rail and go into the molding toolpath. Select the drive rail for the toolpath to be followed by the profile. Okay. The last selected vector is the profile. I want to go with that one. Now we see here that it's projecting outwards this way. I want it to go up. So right click, reverse direction. Now you see how big that is. The cut depth exceeds the thickness. So I wouldn't be able to do it with the thickness of material I have set up. I didn't even bother to look at that. Close. Let's go here. And let's make that 2-inch material. Okay. Now I bet it doesn't. There we go. Okay, now it no longer does that. And I would have to increase this profile size to whatever that is. Could the drive rail be a circle or a rectangle? Yes, it can. Just know that with the molding toolpath, if it's a closed vector, it will only project to the outside. It will not project to the inside. You will have to, for instance, here's what IL is asking. Let me close this and go back out here to demonstrate. Let's say I have a circle here. Close, and I go over here. I want to do a molding toolpath. Hold down Shift, select my profile. It'll only project out. And even if I right click and go reverse direction, it will only project outwards. It will not project inwards. Now, if I close this, select, go into node editing, right click, cut the vector. Now, oops, right click to come out of node editing. Now, if I select the vector, hold down Shift, select the profile. If I reverse direction, it still didn't go inside. This must be too big for that circle. Okay, let me go back here, close this. I think this is too big. Let me open it up here. I know it's off the material, but that's okay. And molding and reverse direction. It still didn't go in. Up, let me change the, okay. Let me reverse direction on that. Reverse direction, still didn't go in. Might have to do more segments. And cut the vector. Now select both segments. Select this. Okay, now there's that. And whoops. No, come on. It won't let me reverse the direction. Okay. It's not going to let me reverse direction now. Let me close this. There, now it'll let me reverse direction. Holy cow. Now select both. Nope. There we go. Wow. That was like pulling teeth. So yes, it needs 2 segments in order to do that. Is it 2 nodes on top of each other? Yes, it is. So basically, that's projecting to the inside. My point was that you cannot carve to the inside on a closed vector. It has to be open vectors. And from what I can see now, it has to be 2 separate open vectors. So the 2 combined will make that circle. So close that. So basically what I'm getting at is yes, you can create moldings in VCarve or Aspire. It is easier in Aspire. Could I preview it, please? Yeah, I can preview it. I don't know how it's going to turn out, but let's see, select this, hold down shift, select this, hold down shift, select that, using a 3.6 degree tapered ball nose, calculate, and let me change that material to medium wood. There we go, something that you can see a little bit better. And I got my speed all the way up. We'll preview it. And that's what that would look like if I project that molding inward, like a picture frame or something like that. I would then have to come along and do an inside profile cut or pocket to cut this segment out, which brings another situation. And that is, you would want to cut this out first. You would want to pocket this out, or yeah, you'd want to pocket this out, mainly because if you look at the depth here, that's an inch deep. If the bit you're going to be cutting with isn't that tall, your spindle is going to run into this piece of uncut material. So you'd want to pocket this out first. So yeah, you'd want to get rid of this plug of material before you did that profile. Now, so let's close that. Whoops. Reset the preview. Close that and go back into the 2D view. So that's just an example of that. If I do select this and select this, and I project this direction using the same bit, calculate, and we will check that toolpath. That's the profile that will carve into that piece. So, and that's exactly what this toolpath was made for, was to create moldings. Let me reset that, go back to a straight Z view, close it. And if we go back down here into our clip art tab, you can see there are a bunch of different molding profiles that came with the software. And they can all be manipulated. Let me grab that, bring that down here. Shift, make that larger. Let's position it over here. And what I want to do is I want to size it so that it's roughly the same size as this here. We'll see if that works or not. Don't know if it's going to work. So now I select this, go over here, and I really have no idea if this is going to work or not. And cut depths exceed thickness. So, and well, let me close this. And I'll just set my material thickness at 3 inches. Just to fool the system. Yes, recalculate everything. Okay, shut everything off. And let's go back to a molding toolpath. And that'll work now. Calculate. And we'll do this profile. Zip, zip, zip. Okay. Then come back over here. Normally I don't do it this way, but I will for this demonstration. And let's go ahead and just cut that like so. Close, and we'll do a profile tool path around the outside of that with a, let's see, Z equals the material thickness. And I will use a 1/2 inch end mill and cut to the outside, preview it just to get rid of the rest of this. And there's your finished molding. So that means you can put a molding inside a rectangle to make a one-piece picture frame. That's exactly what that means. Sargon, thank you very, very much. I truly, honestly appreciate that. You guys have gone way above and beyond, and I know Linda appreciates it. And Thomas, just previews of coming attractions. I do plan on demonstrating just that, making a one-piece picture frame using the molding toolpath. That's in a video that's coming down the road. So, but yes, that'll show you how you can create a molding. Now, obviously, that's an extreme. I went with a 3-inch square piece. That's kind of nuts, but it can be done. So let's reset the preview and back out of here. So I know that went a long way around to get to where I was going. So, but yeah, creating moldings is relatively straightforward. The hardest part is deciding which molding you want to create, and then either drawing the profile or finding the profile. But Michael Mazalek said, or you could draw a circle the size of the inner dimension so the tool path is on the outside. Yes, you certainly could. You certainly could. I showed that basically to demonstrate that you couldn't project to the inside of a closed vector, that it just simply will not let you. You would have to use 2 open vectors if you absolutely had to do it that way. So, and again, there's more than one way to skin the proverbial cat. And as we were talking about earlier behind the scenes, I don't show necessarily the right way. I don't show necessarily the wrong way or the best way. I just show the way I've done it. And I'm always, always willing to learn from somebody, you know, because even if you even if you've been doing something for 30, 40, 50 years and you think you have the answers, somebody out there has done it differently, and it may match your workflow a lot better. And if you're not willing to look at somebody else's method and go, there are merits here, then, you know. So, um, the way it handles the corners is pretty good, to be honest. You will not get square corners because you're using a ball nose bit. So there will be a little bit of a radius there. More on that when I actually do the project and demonstrate it. So, Patrick Woodco wants to know, do I plan on having stickers to purchase? The short answer is no. The long answer is I have stickers, but I'd like to give them out personally. Having said that, hit me up on Instagram. So, no, I do have stickers, but I prefer to pass them around personally. I've made exceptions in the past, but generally speaking, now, for instance, we were supposed to go down to California this weekend. Weather wouldn't allow it, and we had to cancel that trip. And I had planned on meeting up with Russ Tyndall at Blue Line Wood Flags, and I had a few stickers to pass out to him. But what can I say? Jay, man, all right. You guys have taken Linda out to dinner. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I know she'll appreciate it because she don't have to cook. So yes, I'll take her out to dinner. Thank you guys very, very much. Wow. I mean, I keep saying it, and you guys are why I say it. I have the best viewers on YouTube, and the outpouring of support I get from you folks is just it blows my mind. All of this is still so surreal to me because I'm just some guy in a shed who genuinely wants to show people that none of this is over your head. If you're willing to get into the software and learn how to use it and learn how to use your machine. And don't be afraid to make mistakes because you will make mistakes. It's going to happen. But what you can do is limit the amount of mistakes that you make and maybe learn from those mistakes on what went wrong. And that's more important than not making mistakes. To me, anyway, is if you do make a mistake and something happens, if you can learn why that something happened and what the mistake was, to me, that's more valuable than everything going perfectly. So, I never miss the opportunity to learn. And that's why I preach so much about other videos and other people out there. That's why I have a link to Michael Mazalik's YouTube channel in all of my live stream videos. That's why I have a link to Peter Pasuelo's YouTube channel and every one of my live stream videos, because these are the people that I learn from. And I don't have all the answers. I'm not an expert. So I'm going to point you towards the people who will have the answer. So, uh, yeah, I'm with you, Sargon. I make all kinds of mistakes just reading messages. So, it happens. We're human. People are people. So, all right, let's go ahead and let's call this one done. Next week will be an open Q&A. Randy, I'm not abandoning you. Let me play around with that idea. I've never tried to carve a grill like that before. Well, I've carved them, but I've never tried to design one. So let me play with that a little bit, and maybe I can condense it down and get you some better answers. I'm not going to abandon you here. Um, it'll be an open Q&A, and then after that, previews of coming attractions. You can see some things laid out on the CNC router table. Then you can see a camera mounted right there. All the people got mad at me for drilling holes in my spoil board after I got it finished. They're going to be absolutely livid because I'm going to drill more holes, a lot more holes. I'm going to do a more in-depth video on setting up work offset, fixture offset locations. I'm going to make 2 of them and then show how to use those 2 fixture offset locations. It's going to be a bit longer video, but I think you're going to get a lot out of it. So until then, channel members, tomorrow's live stream, I don't know what we're going to talk about it. Maybe making holes. I don't know what we're going to talk about, but I'll come up with something, or you'll come up with something, one or the other. Live stream, members only live stream tomorrow, 5:30 Pacific, 8:30 Eastern. Don't forget to hit the community tab. That's where I put all the links to the members only live streams. If you'd like information on becoming a channel member, click that join button right next to the subscribe button. A little panel will pop up and a video will play, tell you all about channel membership. The members will tell you we have a good time behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, just doing what we do. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Everybody else, see you next week. And have a good week. Take care and have the week you deserve. Y'all take care. Have a good one. And thank you, everybody, very much.